This week, Minecraft might be selling to Microsoft.
And Apple came out swinging with 2 new iPhones and the Apple Watch.
Welcome to the Know-It-All for September 12th. I'm Ashley Jenkins.
And I'm Meg Turney.
For those of you who missed last week's episode, here's how it works. We'll run you through the biggest news headlines of the week, but we're going to be moving fast because we know you've got places to be and people to impress with all the things you know. So if you want to know more about a particular story, just click on the annotation and we'll take you to the full thing.
Also, we're going to tell jokes. They're not going to be funny. You'll enjoy them.
Whee!
On top of that, we'll also have links to all the stories after the credits if you don't want to interrupt your extreme knowledge download and also don't want to leave these adorable faces.
Cool?
Yeah.
Let's get started. This week, the sports world has been turned upside down by a newly surfaced surveillance video showing Baltimore Ravens NFL player Ray Rice knocking his girlfriend the fuck out. He's been dropped from his team, who are even offering to let fans exchange jerseys with his name and number on them, suspended indefinitely from the NFL, and even more seriously than all of that, he's been patched out of Madden NFL 15, gasp, hiss, etc. By today, EA will have released a title update removing him from the game to reflect his not in the NFL anymore status. Not the first time they've done it either, so there's a precedent. When Aaron Hernandez was charged with murder last year, he was also patched out of Madden. Classy bunch.
Good lord. This guy knocked his fiance out, and also someone was charged with murder, NFL. While we're on the topic of games related to sports, just gonna move on. There are a lot of people gonna be mad. I already know. The president of ESPN is waiting on whether or not esports should be considered real sports, and big surprise, Mr. Dude Bro doesn't think they should be. He says their competitions are in line with chess and checkers, but he prefers to focus on real sports, brah, which is why his channels air poker. And funny enough, ESPN actually did air this year's Dota 2, the International, so come on, bro, get on board with what you've already aired.
You're sending us some mixed signals, guys.
Not bitter at all.
For more news on everything happening in the world of esports, we've got you covered with the Leaderboard, our weekly wrap-up on who's winning, who's moving, and who's getting into trouble in the world of esports.
We also talked about immigration this week, and in an unaired part, abortion. Speaking of winning, Destiny came out this week, and publisher Activision hasn't shared any actual sales numbers yet, but they have announced that the game is the most successful video game franchise launch of all time, and the highest-selling day one digital console game of all time, but you know, there's not really a ton of digital console release history to go off of. But still, very impressive. They shipped $500 million worth of Destiny on launch day alone. Again, shipped, not sold.
It's a little bit misleading when they say that. It is a predictive number because most likely all of those copies that they've shipped will sell, but it's basically like I could take that piece of paper, copy it 10 million times, send it to GameStops everywhere, and I've shipped 10 million units of, what have I shipped? Dick butt.
What else would I draw on the paper when you leave me unattended?
I should know better. Also selling, possibly Mojang, to Microsoft. Rumors coming from big-time financial journalists at Bloomberg and the New York Times suggest the Minecraft developer could be acquired by Microsoft for as much as $2 billion. Reportedly, talks have been ongoing for as much as 3 months, and one source even suggests that Notch himself approached Microsoft to make the deal, and once acquired, that he'll depart Mojang, presumably in a helicopter made of money.
Tiny little blocks, little Minecraft block helicopter. Minecraft 2.0 exclusive to Xbox and PC. Actually, I don't know what that means, but you know what? You heard it here first. Microsoft sure is pushing hard to try and claw back some of that new console market share from Sony by offering a free game with console purchase. They've just launched a promotional program that only lasts until the end of Saturday, so hope you're not catching this late or anything. And they'll offer any first or third-party disc game for free when you buy a console. Please buy our console. It's only at participating retailers, Target, GameStop, Walmart, Amazon, Target again in the script, and Best Buy, Toys R Us, maybe Target one more time.
And don't forget Target.
In the US. We also heard reports from Canada and the UK that some retailers there, maybe a Target, were offering the same deal.
So check with your retailers there. Or you could save your money and spend it on one of the limited edition 3DS XLs that Nintendo just announced. 2 of the limited edition handhelds will be exclusive to GameStop, a retro-inspired NES edition that will be out on October 10th, and a Persona-inspired design which unfortunately doesn't actually come with Persona Q, even though it'll be out on November 25th, the same day the game comes out.
I don't understand that at all. It seems cheap. Okay, sorry.
It's not the first time that they've done that, but it is a little bit weird and I guess kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
The third new design is for Super Smash Bros. And also doesn't come with the game, but that could possibly be because it'll be out on September 19th and the game won't hit until October 3rd. It's also weird that they're just coming out, they're just announcing these new limited edition 3DSs, so they're new 3DSs, but they're not new
They're not big
3DSs. So it's like they've got these other ones coming out next year, but they're still doing these limited editions.
I just don't understand why you announce like we're gonna have a new console, but if you want the old one, we got these sweet new designs. Like, come on!
That said, I am a sucker for the old school ones. I did spend a whole bunch of money on the NES inspired Game Boy Advance SP that they came out with like back in the day.
Love them. On the topic of retro gamers who want to own a piece of gaming history are about to be able to do just that, courtesy of one of the worst games of all time. It's believable and it's awesome. One of the causes of the video game crash in 1983, the game was so bad, it like sunk Atari. That's amazing.
A 97% drop in the games industry year over year. It was bad.
It's impressive, really, if you think about it. Anyway, of course, I'm talking about E.T. the Extraterrestrial for the Atari 2600. Atari ended up burying hundreds of thousands of copies of the game in a landfill in New Mexico. It was basically like this urban legend until an excavation of those games became the subject of a documentary earlier this year, and now half the copies unearthed are being sold on eBay and the Alamogordo City Council website, while the other half get swanky placement in museums around the world.
I really want to be one of the.
Totally
if I was a copy of ET, I'd really prefer to go into a museum.
It's like an Annie type thing for a tiny copy of ET to be like, the hard knock life,
like
in
getting
the landfill, and now they go
all day. Otherwise, you just like end up like in some kid's old console. Rounding out our video game news for the week, Konami's decided they like Telltale's The Walking Dead game series so much, they're gonna make Resident Evil Revelations 2 episodic as well. Instead of releasing all at once, the game will be released in 4 episodes over 4 weeks. If you're not the episodic type, you can wait till they're all out and the full game becomes available digitally with some additional content to make the episodic player jealous or possibly just desperate enough to shell out more money. Bad news if you're the disc-based gaming type. While each digital episode will be $5.99 and the full digital game will be $24.99, a disc-based version will run you $39.99. Ouch.
This seems like needlessly harsh. Also, I think I love episodic. I'm a sucker for The Walking Dead, but I don't know that a Resident Evil game works for like episodic content.
No, but you get to like shoot zombies for an hour at a time. It's exciting.
I'm that person who's like, great, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna play Resident Evil 4 all the way through in a day. Like, Resident Evil's great
for binge game.
It's a binge. Don't forget, you can join us for a full hour of video game, right into that segue, and video game news discussion on The Patch, which airs live for Rooster Teeth sponsors every Wednesday and is available on our site On The Know every Thursday. This week, we got kind of dark. We talked about Ebola, and Ryan couldn't say the word domain. He kept saying domain. It was
That's pretty dark.
Adorable.
All right, let's move on to movies and TV. Since we mentioned The Walking Dead just a minute ago, let's start off with the news that AMC has greenlit a pilot for a companion series to the insanely popular zombie apocalypse show. The Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman is on board, and Dave Erickson, who's been working on Sons of Anarchy, will serve as showrunner, with current executive producers Galen Hurd and David Alpert joining Kirkman in producing this one as well.
There's no doubt that the show is a huge hit. The season 4 opened with 16 million viewers, and not one single episode since has drawn an audience smaller than 11 million.
It's even so, is it too much? Is it too much to have 2 TV shows of the same thing? Maybe. I mean, how depressed can they make you? The Walking Dead is already so depressing. 2 Walking Deads, suicide rates are gonna go up.
There will be no jokes about that. I feel like The Walking Dead game I love. I don't watch the TV show, but The Walking Dead game I adore. And they're in the same universe, but they don't have anything to really do with each other. So this is gonna be in the same universe and have nothing to do with the original cast, so I think that's kind of cool.
Anyway, not everyone agrees that more of a popular thing is better, it seems. Marvel, for one, in spite of giving us hope in June by saying he'd be open to playing more Iron Man, and let's face it, we all kind of assumed that he was the holdup here. Robert Downey Jr. now says there's no Iron Man 4 in the pipeline of Marvel Studios. Sure, that doesn't mean it's impossible, but since Marvel's got a plan out to 2028 already, and RDJ is still on board for the Avengers 2 in 2015 and the Avengers 3 in 2018, you think they'd at least know if there's another one on the docket, so boo.
I think they do know, they just don't want to tell us.
Well, we can hope, because honestly, even if it's a like not a great one. A lot of people didn't like Iron Man 3. I will take a poor Iron Man movie over a lot of other movies. Frankly, like RDJ can just like read me a menu for a couple of hours. I'll go watch it in theaters and then I'll buy the Blu-ray.
You should put him, what would you put him in? You would just have him like read the menu, or that would be your thing? He could be in any movie, but you'd be like, could you just read this menu, please?
Ship it.
Superhero returns don't always work out well, though. Just ask Andrew Garfield, who's taking his turn as Peter Parker for the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Garfield largely blames the way the movie turned out on the higher-ups at Sony Pictures for cutting a lot of the deeper scenes of the movie, leaving it as more of a mishmash of too many characters and not enough time to really develop the villains. What was it originally? A 3-hour movie? Ridiculous!
Maybe it was like a whole mini-series.
What was this joke originally? Funny? Ridiculous!
The question is, which fan base is more up in arms? Spider-Man fans unhappy with the Amazing Spider-Man, or DC fans grumbling about Batman versus Superman? The answer is, who fucking knows? It's the internet, everyone's angry. So let's talk Batman versus Superman, because we're on a roll. More photos of the new Batmobile leaked via Instagram user Amacro13, showing both the front and back of Batfleck's new ride, which matched up with the tease that Snyder posted back in May. And apparently Snyder decided there's no point holding back and followed those two images up with the first full image of the Batmobile, which I have to say looks totally like Arkham Knight. But that said, we have a long way to see what the whole hog will look like, since the movie won't be out until 2016.
Star Wars is also suffering from a case of people with cameras. It's very serious cause, everyone. In this case, a pilot doing a routine flight for his flight school spotted the Millennium Falcon and an X-Wing as he passed over a Greenham Common in England. And another A-sleuth posted a video of Greenham Common, which is believed to be the set of Dantooine, the location mentioned by Grand Moff Tarkin in Episode 4. It also got a much more significant role in Knights of the Old Republic, but apparently that's not canon now, is it?
Want to rile up some more fan bases? Why not? How about those female Ghostbusters? Earlier this month, rumors started circulating that Freaks and Geeks creator and Bridesmaids director Paul Feig might be working on a Ghostbusters reboot or sequel or something starring a female lineup. Now Venkman himself, Bill fucking Murray, has thrown his support in with the list of ladies he'd like to see take up the proton packs, several of whom Feig has worked with before, including Kristen Wiig from Bridesmaids, Melissa McCarthy from The Heat, and Linda Cardellini from Freaks and Geeks. And since Murray worked with her on Zombieland, he also tossed Emma Stone's name into the ring.
I just like the idea of him just listing off people he knows. He's like, my maid would be great, that girl at the sandwich shop. Like, I just want to run into him and be casting Ghostbusters.
That's all you need. That's gonna be the big break.
How'd you get your big break? I ran into Bill Murray. For more movie and TV discussion, don't forget we have a new podcast called Screenplay, which you can catch on roosterteeth.com, The Know on YouTube, or on iTunes. The movie for next week is There Will Be Blood, so it's really light fare, so make sure you watch that before the next episode.
Rooster Teeth, we like to make you happy. So let's move on to tech and science.
The big headline this week is, no surprise, Apple. In addition to announcing not one, but 2 new phones, they also confirmed the iWallet rumors, well, they're calling it Apple Pay, and the also rumored Apple Watch. Basically, everything they announced had been rumored for like 6 months already, but it's nice to have specifics.
The iPhone 6 and 6 Plus both have 8-megapixel rear-facing cameras with phase detection to improve autofocus. The 6 uses digital image stabilization for clear photos, while the 6 Plus has a camera that can actually move for optical image stabilization. The front-facing camera lets in more light for better FaceTiming and, let's be honest here, selfies in low light. And both run the new Apple A8 chip, which is 50% faster. The iPhone 6 uses a 4.7-inch 1334 by 750 display, while the 6 Plus runs a 5.5-inch full 1080p display. The 6 Plus is also thicker at 7.1 millimeters, while the 6 is just 6.9 millimeters thick, and we're in a point of the future where 2 millimeters makes a huge difference, apparently. Pricing varies by region, but in the US and on contract, the 16GB version on the iPhone 6 will run $199. There's no 32GB version this time around. The 64GB version will put you back $299, and the 128GB version will be $399. Add $100 to each of those, and that's what the 6 Plus will cost you. Pre-orders are now open, and they'll be on shelves on the 19th.
They won't be on shelves. You can't get them on the 19th anymore now. It's all over if you weren't up at 3:30 in the morning like this girl.
You got invested interest.
Thank you. I do. And also, it didn't cost me $4.99. I wish it had. Apple, you dicks. One new feature both phones will support is NFC, which will allow iPhone users to join Android in the using your phone as your wallet. The new secure element chip will store credit card information and use the Touch ID, that's the fingerprint identification, to authorize purchases. Cashiers won't have access to your credit card numbers, and Apple says they'll have zero idea where you shop or how much you're spending.
Or what weird things you buy.
What did you say?
I said, I think Furbies.
Yeah, you said Furbies, I said dildos. The service will launch in October for the US and will support American Express, MasterCard, and Visa. No word yet on international launch. That's so, how could you think Furbies?
I was trying to think of weird stuff, okay?
I'm not the only one who thought dildos, right guys? Anybody? Just drink my water.
Internet comments? And rounding out the Apple news, a watch, because those totally haven't been replaced by phones, only to have us invent wearable tech so our wrists don't feel naked, only to have watches muscle in on that territory too. The Apple Watch features a dial that will let you scroll through apps and pressure-sensitive touchscreen. The watch is compatible with Siri and communicate with other watches to share doodles, probably dicks, or get each other's attention.
I really like that. I think that's a cool feature and everybody else thinks it's dumb, but I really, I think this is gonna be the end of the eyes at parties where your boyfriend's on the other side of the room and you're trying to be like, I wanna go, and you're doing the eyes and they're not catching, so you can just be like, ding, 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 and then there you go. Or you're trapped by somebody, ding, ding, ding. Oh, it'd be great.
I do like that you're already planning on how you can use the watch to get out of social situations. That's not weird.
That's my life.
Even Apple Pay will work on the watch, and it will be compatible with iPhone 5 and up, and it launches early next year in 3 versions: Apple Watch Sport, and Apple Watch Edition, which is 18-karat gold and totally unnecessary. The bad news is that the watch starts at $350.
Ouch. I do like that they made their 18-karat gold twice as strong as normal 18-karat gold.
Well, I'm glad they made it strong. You know, it's funny, last week they announced a bunch of Samsung stuff, the new Galaxies, 2 of them as well. And I have to say the Galaxies, from a technical standpoint, way beyond what the iPhones are. But a lot of people, probably myself, are still gonna upgrade to the iPhone because 1, that's the ecosystem I'm in, and 2, it's where all of my friends and the people that I'm texting are, and as soon as the messaging turns from the blue iMessage to green, like someone's on Android, it's the worst. It's basically the Xbox version.
They're holding us a little bit hostage. I can totally get it. I will say a huge part of this for me personally is the ecosystem. I have a MacBook, I have an iPad, and I had an Android phone for a long time. I actually had the Note 2 for a very long time, for me at least, and I liked it, but my ecosystem is all Apple. But I will say that it's a little bit shitty on Apple's part, or a lot shitty on Apple's part, that when you switch from iPhone to Android, that they hold your iMessages hostage. People will still try and iMessage you, and you just don't get those text messages. That's lame, and I think it is a reason why a lot of people don't switch over sometimes.
Yeah, because you don't want to lose your social life, assuming that you have one and aren't using your watch to try to get out of social situations. Anyway, moving on to other tech, Local Motors, an automotive company, has a 3D printed, fully functioning car that they made in 44 hours. They're currently in the process of assembling the parts with the aim of driving it tomorrow in a demonstration at the International Manufacturing Technology Show in Chicago. While the fully mechanical parts like the motor and suspension are not being 3D printed, everything else right down to the seats and windshield are, and unlike traditional cars, which are made from more than 20,000 total parts, this one is made from just 40. Plus, the source parts, I have to admit, I'm a little disappointed that it's not a fully 3D printed car. Why can't we have a 3D printed combustion engine? Come on!
3D printed
I thought
fire.
This was the future.
Where's the 3D printed fire? It's okay. The future could suck because, we don't know. It could happen.
No hoverboards, so.
No, that's true. That's very true. The future of the internet could really suck because big US ISPs are lobbying the government to allow them to offer a fast lane service to websites that pay them for the privilege, also called the end of net neutrality or the equality of all content on the internet. To fight against this, earlier this week, thousands of websites, including Reddit, Tumblr, Netflix, Vimeo, Etsy, and Kickstarter, all participated in Internet Slowdown Day by putting loading wheels on their websites to send a message to users how widespread the issue of content delivery could be if ISPs could hold access hostage. The sites all encourage users to visit battleforthenet.com, where they could send a letter to lawmakers. Over the course of the demonstration, more than 2.1 million emails were sent, 700,000 plus comments were filed with the FCC, and more than 300,000 calls were made.
That's pretty impressive. One of the things that I think a lot of people got confused about is thinking that these sites intentionally did slow themselves down for the day, which did not happen. It was actually, they just put the loading bars on to say either we could be affected, all these sites could be affected if ISPs can charge companies for basically to provide faster access.
Right.
You know, they didn't, so there were a lot of people complaining, oh, that's why my internet was shitty. No, it wasn't. You just have shitty internet.
Oh, it's like internet hypochondria.
Oh, last story, and then you're all topped up on knowledge for the week, but we saved the best for last because there's a new top dog in the dinosaur world. Size-wise. Anyway, the Dreadnoughtus scranny is believed to have weighed 65 tons. That's like 13 giant elephants and 7 times more than the Tyrannosaurus rex. It was 26 meters long with a tail an additional 9 meters long. Paleontologists who discovered the skeleton were thrilled to find 43% of the dinosaur skeleton intact, making it the most complete of its kind ever found. And researchers were able to use a 3D laser scanner to extrapolate an image of the complete dinosaur and get a better idea of its anatomy. And I really hope they put it in Jurassic World. It's not too late.
I like that the phrase 3D laser scanner is just something we just throw around nowadays.
Yeah,
they use a 3D laser
scanners
scanner. Oh, it's not a big deal. 3D, 4D, 3D.
I'm gonna go print a car. That's it for the Know It All this week, but we'll be back next week at same time, same place, with all the crazy developments in games, movies, TV, tech, and science between now and then.
If you don't want to wait for all that, you can catch us over on The Know, where we'll have news updates throughout the week, as per usual. Also, I spilled water on myself because I'm 5.
That's no big deal. You can also catch us streaming The Know It All live on Fridays a little bit earlier if you want. We go at 1, I think, but we'll keep you posted on that one. Anyway, it's been nice knowing you.
Sounds like we're all gonna die.
We might.
Good Lord.